I may be completely off my rocker with this one. Now, I have been eyeing this for a while, and then when you walk in the booth that you drool over is 50% off. And like literally, she was just walking out to her car. So talk about a God week moment, right time, right place. The Cubby. Now, I mean, if somebody made it for what they needed it for. And Chris was trying to talk me into it around Christmas time to display my Santa mugs. But I kind of thought, like, how can I make some of the spaces bigger? Because they are individual pieces in there, I think, or just something that I just have to cut off a little tip. But I think if I can make some of them bigger, I think it'll open it up to a little bit wider audience of somebody to buy them. And then it's not so well painted. Remember, we buy things secondhand, and it's like a particle board that is kind of falling apart. You know, I don't want to pick it all apart because I'm going to pick it apart. So I want to see if I can make some of the spaces bigger. Like this is a little bit off. It's not level. I love the perfectly imperfect. We don't need to fix that. I just want to see if I can get a space bigger or not. If it doesn't work, then I'll just try to put it back together. I might have to recruit Chris's help. I told him my idea. I said, unfortunately, I think the problem is a lot of people that collect smalls, they collect smalls. So some of the cubbies might be a little too small, and then with the little edging here, it might be too deep, because it's a piece of paint stick, but it is a good, I would say it's almost an inch. That lip there is almost an inch. So when you set something in, it's covering up a lot of it. So I don't know if just nails are holding that in. Talk about but I think it would help it sell. I think so anyway. So I'm gonna see if I can pop these off and see what happens. Do you ever just say a prayer before you do something, like, oh dear God, let this work out? Let this work out. Okay, I'm gonna try this one. It's like a mini crowbar. I don't know what it's been for. Is it paint? Oh, I don't know. Stanley. It's a Stanley. I didn't think it was glued because they're really thin, so I didn't think it would be glued, and I just have really long nails. See? See, I wasn't completely crazy. It did just pop off. Maybe. There we go. So that was my thought, like, can we take a jigsaw and cut like some of these holes out to make it bigger? Maybe leave, you know, like maybe every other, so you have a place for your smalls. Now that I know that I can pop those off. And it's really rough, so I'd like to sand it a little bit. I have texture issues apparently, so okay, I'm like which way should I what should I pop off next, right? Should I pop them all off, figure it from there, put them back on so that they're a little bit more flush? I don't know. Okay. I'm thinking I'm going to pop this one off. So like 2 in the middle. What? 2? Yeah, 2 in the middle, 1 at each top. Doesn't matter. I don't know, but. So you can see like the notch back there. So I think it's not all the way, you know, in. So I think I should be able to take the Japanese saw. And like I said, it's just I mean, it is particle board, like more cardboard than anything. So I'm going to see if I can cut it that way. Now I could pull it out, but I want to be able to put that piece in there, I think. I may end up doing Bondo, I don't know. But we'll see. It's just like a press board. And then I think, like, see, this will just slide out. So just structurally I need to make sure that it's going to hold together, but I might have those spaces, so, and then seeing if I can take that off, like the middle. Oh, I have a plan. Okay, so now let me see. Now the next doesn't seem to be so particly board. So figuring out how that, you have to figure out how. So this one stays in, this one needs to come out. But to get in there, I might still have to pop these off to get in there. So I want to make sure I don't mess up. I want this to stay. I'm not cutting into those. You know how that goes. You get going, you're like, oh no, that's not what I wanted to take apart. And then this one stays. You see where I'm going with that, so I don't mess up. And that one stays. So you have the one in the middle of it being cut off. Might get my multi-tool because that, like so. So as these are facing out, the other ones, of course, are facing in. So the part that I need to cut off is this part. So, but that's all the way in the back. Excuse me, this is a loud guy, so listen to some music. Because that's a really big divot to have to, so I cut strips to fit into this space, so it's not such big of a hole to have to fill in with Bondo. So I am going to Bondo it, but a lot of that area is really rough. So I thought I'm just going to take the sander, some 80 grit, smooth everything out that I can. The thing about the multi-tool, not only is it a cutting tool, but you could change the head out, which I have Chris do. I don't know if I could do it, but you can get into smaller spaces to sand. So I need to take all the nails out of these, and of course some of them bent. Okay, we are sanded as much as I can. There's so much pop. So I'm gonna let the air clear in here first, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm going to start bondoing areas, and that should tighten this all up, is my hope anyway. Okay, so I'm going to see how many areas I can bondo. Hopefully to tighten everything all up. Just going to mix little batches because I know that I need to flip and flop and move everything around. So Okay, my Bondo should be dry, so I'm going to start sanding it because I don't have enough dust from the particle board. I need to sand some. Okay, so I did my best to try to sand. It's still always going to be, because it's just pulp. It's just wood pulp. So now what I need to do, I'm not like taking a wet rag because that's just going to swell it all up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do brush on shellac to hopefully beef it up, seal it in. At least I filled in the holes, and like where this was, it kind of like made it secure. A lot of imperfections, but where I did the seams to tie these two pieces together, this is a little raised now. So before sealing everything in with some shellac, because this is just wood pulp, y'all, I'm going to try to sand that down so it doesn't give me any problems when I go to put the wood back on. Hopefully. Definitely one of those cases that it has to look like a hot mess before it can look better. Easiest way to do the inside of cubbies is to spray paint. So I'm just going to spray paint the inside, and to get character and charm on the side, I will try to color match. And I think I'm going to do Rust-Oleum's Laurel Green, like a light green. I mean, I could do white, but there's so many imperfections. It's going to show through anyway. As I said, we're not. If you watch the channel enough, you know I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm not looking for that perfect paint job, but I am looking to make sure that, you know, all my shellac is dry, soaked in. It actually took me the whole can, y'all. This thing just kept absorbing it in. That's just how it goes. Cans of Laurel Green. So the one thing you're going to notice, even though I said I used that whole can of shellac, that is what this type of board does. It's like, no, I'm not going to absorb in. The more you put on, it's still not going to absorb in, y'all. I mean, it's not going to get full coverage, so we will work with whatever we're giving after the paint is all dry. Okay, I'm going to spray a little dab on my paper, and I'm going to try to match. So something close. So like, see the old olive matches that. I think that matches it completely. I don't think I need to add anything else to it. Ooh, that was a big scoop. That was a big scoop. So as you see, I'm doing Sweet Pickins milk paint to have an aged finish. I mean, as I'm looking at it, it looks like it'll match. The inside of the cubby's still wet. That Rust-Oleum paint takes a while to dry. So I definitely think the olive matches. Like I said, it's just easier to paint them off, and because even after I let it dry overnight, if I decide that I need to try to put some of the milk paint in the inside, I will. But so much easier not to have to go around this little edge. And I mixed it up thick, so hopefully I just have to do the one coat, and I'll get that crackling. Now, if I wanted it to chip off, you could put some like beeswax on it, but I don't necessarily. I think it's going to distress fine. Now I've actually done 2 coats. It sat for an hour. I sprayed another coat, and you can see the imperfections where it just does not soak into that wood pulp. But I think it's easier to have it on this turntable to paint the sides. Usually I'd be taping off the back, but no, not today. And I want to do dirty 2 brushes, so I'm just going to use the little brush. It does seem to be a little bit darker, but remember we're putting those slats back on, and we'll do some kind of a wax to tie everything together to make it look like this was all how it was supposed to be, and this is how it aged. If your paint's getting a little too thick to move around, just add a little bit of water, just mix it in. You'll know. There you go, a little bit better. Now I just want to go on these edges. Let's have the fun begin, because once you've sprayed that, it's going to be all rough. It's going to raise all those little fibers. So I do need to take the time and let this dry overnight. That paint that I use is not a fast dry paint, but I just need to make it so you don't have all those little fibers of that board sticking up. Definitely a perfectly imperfect piece, but that's the kind that people fight over. So hopefully once I wax this, yeah, I'm still going to wax it. I will see what it does. Going to get everything I can done this way, and then I will attach the pieces back on. Just makes it easier to get in these cubbies without those on there. So we got some crackling, some crazing, some chippiness. So I am going to sand the sides. Isn't that funny how you didn't see any red? And then when it started to crackle. So we're just going with it. It's fine. Fusion's aging wax for some patina, which is really going to get in, especially the inside. Just crazy how a wax can just transform it so fast I just painted this piece to a, hey, I've been around for a while piece. We can do with our hot mess of it inside, because unfortunately it was really hard to try to sand the back, and sometimes the spray paint doesn't necessarily want to take on a wax, but there's enough dry spots from the wood pulp that I think it'll just add some age to it. At least we have some bigger cubbies now to put some of our bigger items. There. It just looks like that's how it's aged. And then once we put the braces on, this will all tighten up. I know distressed pieces aren't everybody's jam, but this just needed some bigger holes And I did not have a clue when I bought it that it was going to be this type of board, but it won't be cost efficient to cut. That's out of my wheelhouse. I'm just showing you what you can all do. Gotta make it match. Right? The thing I didn't think about is I got rid of some of the cubbies, so I actually have I have a couple extra, which is good because the very bottom one ended up being broken. I painted them all anyway, so it does not matter. So, but now we can start getting these pushed down. And that will help. So I'm just going to brad nail it in. And they still are a little wonky, but that's okay. It's just that perfectly imperfect. So I'm just measuring, make sure that I have the same distance. Honestly, I had no idea that needed that much work. Had no idea. I just knew 50% off. I had been eyeing the piece for a while. Oh my goodness. It's like, oh, you know, but like for flippability, you know, actually, yeah, no, it would not have been flippability. I would have lost my shirt tail because we all have different levels, and I love to make over things, and I love to share the process with you all. I absolutely love how the results, and I know y'all, most of you watching, would have probably been tempted to pick this piece up too, so everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad that I was able to make it over and recreate into something hopefully a little bit, I'm not going to say it was desirable before, just a little bit more desirable, and we'll see how it goes. You just never know. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, and you can see what I'm up to. Bye.